Welcome to the What's Working podcast, the podcast where we ask, what's working? Hey everybody, welcome to the What's Working podcast. I am Jimmy Nash, and I'm thrilled to have in studio today Lisa Colantuono, president of agency search Kaizen. Lisa, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure, Jimmy.
So I was excited to have you on because most of my guests have been marketing agency owners, but you run a search consultancy. Can you tell me a little bit, what does that mean? How do you connect people?
Yeah, a lot of people have no idea, especially outside of the business, of course, when they ask me, so what do you do? Like, I'm an agency search consultant. I might as well say, I don't know what, but, they're like, what? What is that? I don't really like this definition, but the easiest way to explain it is I'm a business matchmaker. Okay. So I think that dumbs it down a little too much. I think there's a lot more that goes on than being a business matchmaker. It's much more than just coffee dates. But I am connecting brands with Marcom agencies. So, right now we're running a review for Aruba Tourism. Right? And Aruba Tourism is searching for a branding agency, a sort of a specialty kind of an agency. So we're going through that process, and some processes are 3 weeks-ish. We try and streamline things as much as we can. We try to cut out unnecessary hoops to jump through.
Right.
And some processes are a few months. It just depends on the brand and the needs and the depth of the situation and the marketing challenge and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of nuance that goes into it. But the easiest definition is I'm a business matchmaker, even though I don't like that definition. But yes, it really is about connecting brands with agencies, I should say. But it goes beyond what meets the eye. Like, I always talk about the people behind the creds, and that's crucial, right? You're not just saying, well, here's an agency that knows your category and is in your geography, footprint, so to speak. I'm not saying that's not important. It is important, but it's the people behind the creds. It's all about in the end, it's all about relationships and making sure the right people are around the table, because those two teams should really be in simpatico. And the best relationships, you can't tell the agency team from the client team. Those are the best relationships, right? And they're just sort of reading each other's minds. And that fluidity is what really makes a successful client agency partnership and pushes the brand to new heights.
That's awesome. Just even in your short summation of it and just knowing what I know about the industry, it seems like such a valuable service, because just out of everyone that I've interviewed, the marketing agency owners, they're all great. So I'm like, how would a business that's looking just at the people I've met in the last however long I've been interviewing people, what do you decide? Like, how do you decide the criteria for the best fit for your company? And so that's very interesting. And I was curious, how do you decide on the agencies that you would even take into consideration? What are your top criteria?
Yeah, it's a big question, and I'll take you back to oh my gosh, I think it was 2001 when I first entered the field of agency search consulting. The fact is, I started in mid '90s. I was a print specialist. I always say I could date myself in a minute. I was a print specialist for Young Rubicam for tobacco, right? And all three are dead now. But I had no idea what a search was, let alone a search consultancy. It's like, it's a big deal. Go find an agency. Like, what's the problem? Right? Well, it is a big deal, and it should be a big deal, right? You are technically marrying, somebody, and it should be for all the good reasons and all the right reasons. And I remember when I first started working as a search consultancy and talking to my predecessor, Leslie, who was fantastic. She started AAR Partners, which I'm no longer part of AAR Partners. Very, very recently, I, long story short, transitioned to agency search Kaizen. But at the time, I was AAR Partners for 25 years, and when I was there and started there with Leslie, I remember walking down the block and saying that exact question. Like, how do you know which agencies? How do you know who to talk to and invite in? And I remember her answer was something to the to the effect of, "You just know." And like, okay, that didn't answer my question, but you just know. And it really is time. And that goes back to relationships, as I said just a few seconds ago, right? This whole business is all about strength of relationships, learning about the people behind the creds. Who are they? What are they? What are they about? What's their background? Where did they come from? Why are they right for this business? Are they right for the business with head or heart or both? Right? It's not just about finding that agency that is open for an automotive account.
Hmm.
BMW doesn't want to hear that,
Right.
right? You know, it's like, so I'm sloppy seconds. You'll take anybody. Like, no, I want you to want BMW or Audi or Honda or whatever the brand is, right? Like, they don't want to know. Well, I need an automotive account. I don't care what you need. That's not my problem. I want you to
Yeah.
want me for all the right reasons. And so it is about knowing the people behind the creds. I keep going back to that, right?
Right.
So we spend, oh gosh, countless hours talking to agencies, meeting with agencies. Sure, do we have a system and a registry kind of thing? Of course, right? But that's the least of it.
Hmm.
My day-to-day activity is to talk to agencies live, meet with them, as I say, IRL. It's
Right.
now it's Ask IRL, right? And everybody who knows me knows I'm always posting that on LinkedIn, right? That is key to the whole thing. So sure, we have a system where we have all the agency's information, but that's the least of it, right? I
Right.
want to know, why do you really want BMW? Don't tell me you need an automotive account. I don't want to hear that. Right? Why do you want BMW? And take that a step further, we need to know which agencies can really tackle the marketing challenges
Right.
and the business challenges, right? Again, it's not just, as we all know, but sometimes tend to forget, it's not about putting a great campaign together. I mean, it is ultimately, right? You have to get something out there that is creative and breakthrough, right? And that really engages, I should say, the audience and creates advocates and so on and so forth. We know what we have to do, but sometimes we forget that there's a human side to this, which is,
Right.
do I really have a feeling for this brand? Do I really have my heart in this? Do I really want to be part of this? Can I really solve these problems? And do I want to solve these problems? And that's the difference between a client agency relationship and a client agency partnership.
Right. Well, that's great. I think it's interesting talking about, you just know, there is a gut feeling side. I think of any industry like that you can't explain, but you know when something's not quite right. You know when something just fits in place. And you got to do your due diligence. You can't say I just know and you don't know anything about them. But
No, of course not. Like, you can't just step into the role of, I talk about this all the time. There's a lot of search consultants out of the blue in the past 5 years or so, and a lot of them, unfortunately, lost jobs. And this is, we all know what's going on out there in the industry. A lot of job loss and craziness, and acquisitions and so on and so forth. And Yeah. So what do? You start a consultancy of some sort, and a lot of people say, no, 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 I'm never going to be a search consultant. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to help with lead gen or you know, fractional CMO kind of stuff for agencies. And then somehow it falls in their lap and somebody says, oh, ABC needs an agency, right? And of course, what are you going to do? You're going to say, well, no, I don't do that. A lot of people try to snow it over and do it. Like, well, I know these 8 agencies. Somebody's got to be good for it. And that's how it starts, right? But that's not really a search consultant, right? That's not what it is. And unfortunately, there's a lot of pollution out there.
Right.
And you have to be careful. And I'm always telling brands, be careful. If that person really didn't make a career out of this, they don't know the depths. They don't know the nuances. They don't know the idiosyncrasies. I mean, there's a lot of little pieces that you don't realize until you do it for
Mm.
so many years, right? And
Right.
yeah, some of it's gut, of course, and that just comes with time and expertise and decades of doing something. But at the same time, it's art and science. Put it that way.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely art and it's definitely science. It's both. You can't just go on gut feeling either. Although it's funny, like every time we start a review, uh, I will say, okay, here's the short list. We're down to the short list. I think they're going to be runner up. I think they're going to win. I, and
Hmm.
I would say I'm 80% of the time I'm right, which is funny. But yeah, that's just again, it's time. It's just decades of spending time with agencies and building those relationships, and it it's a big, big part of it.
Right. So I'm curious how the clients that come to you that come to you or you find them. I'm curious what your process is for deciding on the companies you would represent to help find agencies.
Well, listen, I sell just as much as the next guy does when it comes to agency search, right? So I don't know what's going to cost my desk from year to year, and it could be a great year. 2025 was actually a wonderful year, and we did 9 or 10 reviews, right? And now you might say, that's not a lot. It's actually a lot. That's a lot in our world. Most of us do 5 or 6 reviews a year, give or take. It depends, but a full blown review, 9 or 10 is a solid year, right? Now, I don't know what's going to come in the door at any given year. I have no clue. They come from all directions. There could be agencies that refer us, which I love that. And I'm always asking agencies, keep us in mind. If you get something that crosses your desk and you're not good for it, or, a
Right.
sister shop is not good for it, please recommend us, right? Um, I do a lot of speaking. Obviously on panels. Years ago, I wrote a book. I got that out there at one point. Obviously, I'm on lists as well, and referrals and all sorts of different things that I do. Going to conferences, whatever it might be. But it's not easy. It's just not easy. There's no magic bullet. There just isn't. There's no magic bullet. There's no well to go to and say, okay, here are all the clients that want to do a review. Uh, all these years later, there's nothing like that exists. It is about trust, right?
Mm.
And people buy from people they trust more
Right.
than anything else, right? So the way I build relationships on the agency side, I build relationships on the client side as much as I can. All right. So that's critical. Yeah, public relations, yeah, all sorts of different things that we do to make sure our name is out there and people can trust what we do and share cases and case studies and things like that. And then, of course, referrals and people, networking in that
Right. Of
particular
course.
matter. So it's it comes from all angles. It really does. And then just being in the business for so long, right? And people know who you are after a while. But it's what I do what agencies do too, in a way. In a
Right.
way, I do compete with the agencies in one way. If you think about it, right? They're
Yeah.
trying to get the client without a review. Right? And I'm
Right.
trying to get the client to do a review.
Yeah. And it's
So
already a very competitive space.
yeah,
So
exactly. Now, my job is not to go break up marriages, right? I'm not a vulture. I'm not out there saying, "Hey, you need to do a search, that your relationship stinks." Like, no, 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 nothing like that. Like, when we're not out there deliberately breaking up marriages, because that's just an awful thing to do. But there are certain indicators and variables that point to the direction of they're probably going to start thinking about a new agency. Okay,
right.
that's obviously the time to build and tell them who you are and what you do. And we have a few different processes to build out, that relationship at the right time. But it is about timing, of course, right? That's one thing for sure.
Mhm.
It is not about being a vulture. It is also just realizing that 80% of marketers now, and I've been watching this for a long time, right? Over the decades, we have now gotten to 80% ish of the marketers do their own reviews. That's a big, big change. Right?
Hmm.
And I talk about this all the time. Right? It was 50 and 60% for a while, then it was like 70%, creeped up to 75%. And 2024, I noticed a massive, it just skyrocketed. It was like 85% of the marketers did their own reviews.
Well,
That's an awful lot. Now,
yeah.
I didn't do any formal survey, but I did a loosey-goosey kind of thing, asking loads of agencies, how many reviews are you doing and how many are marketer led? And eventually I got to this, it's about 85%. That's crazy. That's an
Yeah.
awful lot. I think it's now the 80-20 rule. Okay. I just think that's where we are. I think it's the 80-20 rule. I think it's going to stay there. And I think a lot of procurement officers, that's the key. A lot of procurement officers feel that part of it's my job to suss out and evaluate and just find the right agency. Right. And however they go about it, they go about it. But they're looking at it as a spreadsheet. I'm looking at it as relationships, right?
Hmm.
Because they don't know the people behind the creds. I do. So yeah, I'm trying to get them to realize that it's a lot more than check boxes.
Right. Of course. So I'd like to talk about, we always end up talking a little because the whole idea of this podcast is what's working, what's changed, what's going to happen. A little bit about AI because you reference on your website prioritizing agencies that are at least looking ahead and integrating technologies where it makes sense for efficiency. Those things. How has AI changed what you do or what you're looking for in an agency to connect with the companies?
Listen, AI has impacted every part of all of our lives,
Right.
right? And it will continue to do so. But and I always quote this woman. I think she's brilliant, E.C. Eggleston. You know, her answer was, "It's not AI, it's DNAI." And I got to give her full credit for that. That's awesome. I'm like, that's it. It's the combination of the two. You can't, we can't all be a bunch of robots, and we know that. Now,
Right.
is it a tool, and are we leveraging that tool? Sure, absolutely. I think the worst thing anybody can do is just go to ChatGPT and type in whatever criteria, and here's a bunch of agencies. Yeah, it gets you started, I guess. Sure.
Yeah.
But you know what? you could have done that way before AI too, right?
Right.
You could have gone on Google if you knew which sites to go to. For instance, if you were doing a PR review, go to, oh gosh, I'm going to forget the name of the site all of a sudden, but the PR site, everybody knows it. I can't think of it. You can go there and you can get all the PR agencies. It's all in there. It's all, oh, Dwyer's. It just hit me.
Oh,
All
okay.
right. All right. So you go to O'Dwyer's and you go in there and you put in your criteria and whatever it is. And they even have it simplified enough that you can get a bunch of agencies on a list. Okay, well, that's that's a big part of the battle, but the bigger part of the battle again is who understands your marketing challenges, who understands your business
Mm.
challenges, in this case, who understands your PR challenges, like that. You can't get that on any site. You can't get that on any list. That's coming from a tried and true search consultancy that
Mhm.
knows how to pull that information out and has been studying that for a long time. Right now, I can't just name names off the top of my head. I mean, I'm not.
Right.
I wish I could. I'd make a lot more money, but it's not that kind of thing. But it's a matter of making sure that you're focused on that. And so, um, yeah, I mean, look, AI it's not going away. We know that.
No.
And there's some great things about it. There's some horrible things about it. I don't think you just rely on it 100%. I think you use it as a tool. And I think it's a good starting point, but that's about it.
Right.
There's a little factoid that I often say where 47% of marketer-led reviews fall apart within 6 to 18 months.
Hmm.
Why? It's the checkbox thing.
Right.
Okay, they understand my category, or I think they understand my category. They tell me they understand my category, and they got the category, they got the case study, they're in my little geography that I want, they're the size of the agency that I want. Those are the things that everybody falls into. And again, they're not that they're not important, but that's not the critical keys, right?
Mhm.
So, in fact, I spoke to I'll never forget. I spoke to a tech company, right? I can't remember the name of it. And this was 2 years ago. It was actually right now. It was this time of the year, 2 years ago. It was December. It was right before Christmas break. We need to do a review, and this is okay, fine. Well, listen, the industry's shutting down. Let's pick this up after the new year. We'll get all your criteria. The most important part is making sure they're internally in alignment. That is by far probably the most important thing in any review. You can't talk to an agency unless they're internally aligned. That's
Right.
by far the
Yeah.
number one game rule. Right? So come back after the new year. We'll get you aligned. We'll make sure that you're in sync. What everybody wants. We'll listen to everybody, et cetera, and we'll get going. Okay. We come back. We don't hear back. The ghosting thing that drives you crazy.
Mhm.
And then they finally, thank you so much. We ended up doing it. We selected an agency over the agency break. You did what? I don't know how you did this because nobody's around. So I really don't have a clue what on earth you did. Okay. Fast forward 8 months, 9 months, something like that. Okay. Maybe it was a year. I don't even think it was that long. They come back. All sorts of problems with the relationship. Like, no kidding. Like, really. Like let me put on my big surprise face, and, we need to do it again. Okay. Well, see, this is why you can't, number one, you can't rush through it. Number two, you can't just go Google or AI a bunch of agencies.
Right.
It's so the depth is so much. It's just deep, it's just so deep. I mean, you can't just, here's your list. There's a lot more behind.
Right. And we, of course, I think everybody's had to dive into AI. We certainly have to incorporate it into the things we do with my wife and I,
Yeah,
our
sure.
agency. But the big thing that we don't see AI replicating right now is like for us, it's storytelling by design. And like if we just enter into Chat GPT, make sure we can tell this brand story, incorporate into their design and their colors and their logo and their messaging, it's not going to do that. And I think that's where we as human beings
Yeah,
still.
I mean, yeah, of course. In my world, it's finding that, excuse me, finding that list, right? So ChatGPT or AI, whatever you use, it's like, here are my criteria. Give me a list of agencies. So that's my world. Your world, in terms of the agency side, yes, it's AI by design, whatever that means. Now, listen, there are some agencies that are really knocking it out of the ballpark with AI.
Mhm.
Monks comes to mind. Right? You look at this work, and I'm not sure you can tell the difference in
Right.
some cases. Anyway, I mean, I just don't know if you can, and it's only going to get better. Now, does that mean everybody's losing their job? No, no. Again, it's what E.C. Eggleston says. It's DNAI. You have to have a combination of the two. You have to have the art and the science. You have to have the robot and the human. I mean, you have to have both. You really do. Right. So we all agree it's going to get better and stronger and more, more integrated into our everyday lives. But it can, I hope not, it can never replace a human being.
Right.
Right. And I don't know how we could possibly teach a robot how to think like a human being. I know we're trying and it's scary,
Yeah.
but
It depends on the problem, but I think, as far as like if AI were coming for your job, I don't know how you would tell it, have a good gut feeling and years of
right,
experience in how to
exactly
know
right.
which company would fit and, understand this person, this person. Like,
Yeah,
I think,
like there are just certain things that only humans can do. Period. End. And that's the end of the story. So, I don't see how it could take over everything. Yeah, there are more and more clients asking about AI as part of the pitch process. When we go through the search process, there are definitely more and more clients asking, okay, so how do agencies use AI, and it's all about efficiencies.
right.
That's what it boils down
Well,
to.
that's the biggest thing for AI, I think.
That's it. That's what the whole thing is about, right? That's it. Done. It's efficiencies, right? So how do we use it efficiently for loads of data, reams and reams of data and getting to that core insight? Okay. Now, how do we use it for massive amounts of content creation, right? Those
Yeah.
brands that just need, one piece of content after another, thousands of pieces. Okay. For social media or whatever it might be. How do we use it for production purposes
Mhm.
and make it a little more efficient? Okay. So there's parts to the whole thing, right? And now, one of the big questions that we keep hearing from clients, rightfully so, is the world seems to go to ChatGPT and use it as Google, right? So Google has
Yeah.
been somewhat replaced by ChatGPT, as we know. So they're trying to, one of their problems is to solve that. Like, okay, I'm not popping up, but I need to pop up. So what do we do about that? And that's a big challenge that they're asking the agencies. What's the answer? Right. So yeah, I mean, there's parts of this thing that everybody is trying to wrap their heads around, and it's the Wild West. I say that all the time. It's like
Mhm.
social media 15 years ago, and
Right.
I remember an old client from it was a QSR brand that he would go into every agency. So what's Twitter? What's Twitter, and how should I use it? It's that kind of mentality again, all over again. But it's not going away, as we know.
Well, that's what it seems. We are exactly at that point because we just hear that from clients. Well, what should we be doing with AI? Like, should we make more content? Well, it's like, well, it all depends. If your brand if people who buy your brand or invested in you don't care if you're using AI, maybe there's certain things. I mean, I know Coca-Cola made an ad with AI and they got some blowback from that because, okay, the truck had an extra tire in this scene and this and that. They're like, why didn't you use little creatives on that? They could have animated that. So, on that end, I think that's where we can just be united that the efficiency makes a lot of sense because like automations, we've had automations for years, but AI just makes that even more efficient. And chatbots, we've had chatbots for years, but now you can have a little bit more intuitive chatbot on your website if you train it properly. So some of those things we're just building upon things we've already had. It just might think a little more like a human, or at least be able to anticipate questions or answers a little
And
bit.
it's also about, sure, efficiencies. Absolutely. Everybody's looking to save a dollar. But it's also about speed to market, right?
Mhm.
So that's the other thing. AI allows you to get there much faster. But to your point,
Yeah,
you're often sacrificing something.
right. There's a cost somewhere.
There's a cost somewhere. That's a
Yeah.
good way of saying it. There's a cost somewhere. Oh, yes.
Well, our time has flown today. We're getting to
Oh
the
my
end of
gosh.
it, and but that's great. I love the ones that just fly like this. So I always like to ask at the end if you were giving some advice to a person, maybe they're an intern getting into the business, either marketing or in the search consultancy, or they're starting their own company. What would be one piece of advice you could just give them, like to set them on the right path?
It's a loaded question. It always is. And listen, I taught college for 16 years, and I would always say to all of the students, do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life.
Mhm.
Okay. That by far is the best piece of advice I could ever give anybody. Find what it is that you love. Now, in light of everything I've recently went through in the past 6 weeks, and I won't get into it here, but I'll also add things happen unplanned that are just gonna blindside you in life. And that happened to me very recently. I was completely blindsided. I had no idea what was about to hit me. And for 6 weeks, it's been pins and needles. But through all of it, the lesson I learned, and we learn until we die, right? The lesson I learned was sometimes the most unexpected turbulence can be the best, best gift ever given to you.
Mhm.
You have to just embrace it, go with it. It's not hard. It's not easy. It's very difficult, but crawl your way through, cry your way through, uh, get the support you need to help you through. And the other side, you are going to be so much stronger. But don't be afraid of turbulence.
That's wonderful. That's great advice, I think, for anybody, probably in any field. Uh, Lisa, thank you so much for joining me today. And everyone out there watching the What's Working podcast, thank you for watching today. Lisa Colantuono, agency search Kaizen. Check her out, especially if you're a company looking to find the right fit with the marketing company and don't know where to start. I'll have the info underneath on the podcast. Lisa, thank you. And everybody, we'll see you again soon. Thank you.
You.